My heels clicked softly against the marble as I stepped into the lobby of the Orpheum Theater. The chandeliers glimmered above me like constellations, and every head seemed to turn, some out of curiosity, others out of recognition. I smoothed my silk blouse with one hand, as if brushing away invisible dust, and adjusted the strap of my clutch on the other. On the surface, I was calm,
Poised.
unbothered. But inside, my chest thrummed with an odd mix of triumph and irony. The velvet carpet, the golden trim of the banisters, the echo of laughter floating from the bar, all of it reminded me of a night long ago when I stood in a place just like this. Except back then, I wasn't gliding through the lobby like I owned it. Back then, I was the girl clutching a ticket, so cheap the ink had started to fade before I even got through the door. I caught my reflection in the mirrored wall. Red lips, steady eyes, hair curled in soft waves. I looked like a woman who had always belonged here. If only they knew. My phone buzzed. A message lit up the screen. Can't believe you're actually there tonight. Front row?
Huh.
Remember when you couldn't even afford the balcony? My lips curved into a small, knowing smile. Oh, I remembered. Too well. What they didn't know, what they could never have guessed, was that tonight, every velvet seat, every gilded corner of this theater belonged to me. I was 19 the first time I ever stepped foot into the Orpheum. Not like tonight. No silk blouse, no diamonds at my ears, no champagne flute delicately pinched between my fingers. Back then, I was wearing a thrift store dress 2 sizes too big and shoes that pinched so tightly I could barely walk straight. I had saved for months, skipping lattes, selling old textbooks, even working extra shifts at the diner, to buy one ticket.
One.
Not the kind of ticket anyone brags about. Not orchestra, not even mezzanine. Balcony. Row Z, practically touching the ceiling. But it was mine. And to 19-year-old Olivia Hayes, it was a treasure. I still remember the way my hands shook as I clutched that slip of paper. The bold black letters spelled Admit One, but what I saw was, "You made it here." Until I didn't. Because as soon as I showed my ticket to the usher, a group of girls I knew from campus, girls with glossy hair and credit cards that never seemed to max out, caught sight of me. "Olivia," one of them said, her voice sharp with disbelief. "That's your seat? Way up there?" They laughed. Not the playful kind of laugh, but the kind that slices, the kind that follows you even when you try to walk away. I can still feel the heat flooding my cheeks, the way my chest tightened, the way my throat burned. My balcony ticket suddenly didn't feel like a victory anymore. It felt like proof of where I didn't belong. That night, as the music swelled on stage and the lights danced across velvet curtains, I barely heard a note. I sat there, small and ashamed, gripping the armrest like it could hold me together. When the curtain finally fell, I slipped out quickly, eyes on the ground, praying no one else would notice me. That's when I heard the voice that would change everything. It was my grandmother, Ruth Hayes. She had driven an hour just to surprise me, holding a paper bag of cookies in one hand. "Don't you let them steal this from you, Liv," she said softly, tucking a stray strand of hair behind my ear. "Do you know how many people never even dare to show up? Balcony or not, you had the courage to walk through those doors. And one day, you'll buy the whole stage if you want to." I wanted to believe her. At that moment, I wasn't sure I could. But somewhere deep inside, a spark caught fire. That night, I made myself a silent promise. No matter how hard it got, no matter how much they laughed, I would never let a ticket, or their mockery, decide my worth again. After that night, something inside me shifted. The sound of their laughter never really left me. It echoed in my head every time I counted crumpled dollar bills, every time I reheated leftover noodles, every time I caught my reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror of my tiny apartment. I worked days at the diner, nights cleaning offices, and weekends tutoring middle school kids who hated math as much as I once did. Every shift, every hour, every aching muscle was a brick in the foundation I was building. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't the kind of story anyone envied on Instagram. But it was mine. I remember sitting on the linoleum floor of my studio apartment one night, textbooks spread out around me, a half-broken laptop humming on my knees. I had just gotten off a 10-hour shift, my feet blistered, my hair in a messy bun that had given up hours earlier. I stared at the glowing screen, teaching myself basic accounting from a free online course. My nail polish was chipped, my stomach growled, but I whispered to myself, "Keep going, Olivia."
Just keep going.
That whisper became my mantra. 2 years later, I landed a receptionist job at a small marketing firm in Chicago. It wasn't much, but it was a door. And behind that door, there was someone who would change everything for me. Her name was Dana Whitaker, senior partner. Sharp as glass, graceful as marble, and unapologetically brilliant. Everyone feared her, but she noticed me. The way I stayed late, scribbled ideas in the margins of my notepad, I asked questions when no one else bothered. One evening, as I was tidying up her office, she looked at me over the rim of her glasses. "Hayes," she said, "why are you wasting your ideas on post-it notes when you could be pitching campaigns?" My heart nearly stopped. "Because I'm just a receptionist," I stammered. Dana's lips curved into the smallest, most dangerous smile. "Not anymore." That was the night she pulled me into the conference room and let me present my first idea. My hand shook, my voice wavered, but for the first time since that balcony ticket, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I belonged. The campaign worked. Then another. And another. Soon, Dana was introducing me as her protege, not her receptionist. I rose through the ranks, fast but quietly. I didn't flaunt promotions online. When old friends asked how I was doing, I said, "Oh, just working, keeping busy." Let them think I was still scraping by. I didn't owe them my story. There were failures, of course. Nights I cried into my pillow after a client tore apart my ideas. Mornings I doubted whether I was cut out for this at all. But each stumble only sharpened me. And every time I thought about giving up, I heard my grandmother's voice. "Balcony or not, you had the courage to show up." By the time I was 27, I had launched my own boutique agency, Hayes Creative. At first, it was run out of my kitchen with a second-hand desk and a coffee machine that sputtered more than it brewed. But the clients came. Slowly, steadily. And then suddenly, within 5 years, Hayes Creative wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. I had contracts with Fortune 500 companies, an office in Manhattan with floor-to-ceiling windows, and a team that believed in me the way I had once begged someone to. But still, to the outside world, the ones who mocked me, I was just Olivia Hayes, the girl they'd left in the balcony. And I preferred it that way. Because one day, when the timing was right, they'd see the truth. And oh, what a show that would be. The night of the grand opening felt like a dream I had written years ago on the back of a diner napkin. The Orpheum Theater, its marquee blazing with golden light, wasn't just hosting an event. It was my event. Hayes Creative had poured months into producing the show, a sold-out performance that was the talk of the city. But there was a secret only I and the theater's board knew. This wasn't just my production. It was my building. The papers had been signed months ago. Olivia Hayes, once the girl with a cheap balcony ticket, was now the sole owner of the Orpheum Theater. As my Blacktown car pulled up to the curb, camera flashes sparked like fireworks. I stepped out slowly, adjusting the hem of my emerald gown. The silk clung to me in all the right places, and for a fleeting moment, I thought of the thrift store dress from 8 years ago, 2 sizes too big and 3 years out of style. I walked through the lobby, the air buzzing with excitement. Staff members greeted me with a warmth reserved for more than just a guest. Their eyes said it all. Respect, reverence, recognition. And then, like a scene rehearsed by fate itself, I saw them. The same group of women who once mocked me, glossy-haired, draped in designer gowns, sipping champagne as though it were oxygen. Time had been kind to some, cruel to others, but their voices carried the same familiar tone. Sharp, dismissive, superior. "Olivia?" One of them, Rachel Montgomery, blinked in surprise. Her diamond earrings caught the chandelier light. "I didn't expect to see you here. What seat did you manage this time? Balcony again?" The others laughed lightly, the same way they had all those years ago. My chest tightened for just a moment, The ghost of 19-year-old Olivia whispering her old shame. But then, I straightened my shoulders. I smiled. Actually, no. Not the balcony. Their eyes flickered with curiosity. I let the silence hang, stretching like silk thread, before I continued. I bought the entire show. The laughter stuttered. Confusion knit their brows. What do you mean? Rachel asked, her tone brittle. I gestured lightly to the lobby around us. Every velvet seat, every crystal chandelier, every brick of this theater. It's mine. I own the Orpheum now. The words sank into the marble floor between us. One by one, their expressions shifted, smirks collapsing into disbelief, disbelief crumbling into silence. You're joking, another murmured. I tilted my head. Do I look like I'm joking? For a moment, I let them drink it in. The golden glow of the theater, the staff addressing me as Ms. Hayes, the way ushers deferred to me as they managed the crowd. This wasn't a balcony ticket anymore. This was ownership. Rachel's mouth opened and closed like she was searching for air. Finally, she whispered, How? I met her gaze steadily. By working harder than anyone thought I could. By staying when everyone expected me to quit. By showing up even when all I had was a balcony ticket. Silence stretched between us, broken only by the swell of music from the orchestra tuning their instruments. The irony was delicious. The same theater that had once witnessed my humiliation was now the stage for my triumph. I leaned in just slightly, my voice low, velvet smooth. You see, Rachel, you all mocked me for where I sat. But what you never realized is that the girl in the balcony was already planning how to buy the whole stage. Their faces, pale, stunned, small, were worth every blister, every sleepless night, every whispered pep talk in a mirror. And as the lights dimmed and the curtain rose, I turned toward the stage, my heart steady, my head high. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just part of the audience. I was the show. After the curtain lifted and the first act unfolded, I found myself more focused on the faces in the private box than on the stage. Rachel and her friends had been given seats there at my direction. A quiet choice. Strategic. Let them see the performance, but let them also see me. At intermission, I walked into the gilded lounge reserved for box guests. The hush that fell over the group when I entered was deafening. Their laughter, their chatter, all of it died like someone had cut the strings. Enjoying the show? I asked smoothly, my heels clicking softly against the marble. They nodded in awkward unison, like schoolgirls caught in a lie. Rachel cleared her throat. Olivia, we didn't realize that I'd ever be standing here like this. I finished for her, arching a brow. Owning the theater you once mocked me for barely entering? Her cheeks flushed crimson. She looked down, twisting her diamond bracelet. The others avoided my eyes. For a long moment, I let the silence breathe. I could have basked in it. I could have relished their discomfort the way they once relished mine. But instead, I thought of my grandmother's words, soft and steady like a hymn. Don't let them steal this from you, Liv. I'm not here to humiliate you, I said finally. Their heads lifted in surprise. But I am here to make sure you understand something. Success isn't about where you sit. It's about whether you show up, even when the seat is the last row in the balcony. One of the women, Samantha, whispered, We were cruel. We know that now. Yes, I said evenly. And cruelty has a way of echoing in someone's life. I carried your laughter for years, but I also turned it into fuel. Tonight, I'm giving you a choice. They exchanged wary glances. A choice? Rachel asked carefully. I nodded.
Yes.
You can keep living exactly as you are, pretending your worth is measured in designer labels and front row seats, or you can do the harder thing, the better thing. You can change. Their eyes widened, like they hadn't expected grace from me. I laid out my terms, not harshly, but firmly, like lines drawn in stone. Rachel, you've always hidden behind your family's money. You're smart, but you've never let yourself work for anything. Prove me wrong. Build something that belongs only to you. She swallowed hard, nodding slowly. Samantha, You use gossip as currency. I want you to try a different kind of investment. Speak words that build instead of break. See what happens to the people around you." Her eyes glistened, shame flickering across her features. "And the rest of you, stop underestimating people. Stop treating kindness as weakness. Stop confusing cruelty with power. Because power isn't mocking someone's ticket. Power is surviving the mockery and rising above it." The lounge was silent, save for the faint hum of violins warming up again on stage. I softened my tone, letting compassion slip into the edges. "I don't hate you. I don't even resent you anymore. But I refuse to ever be that 19-year-old girl shrinking in her balcony seat again. And I won't let you shrink anyone else either." For the first time in years, I saw them speechless. Not because they were mocking. Not because they were superior. But because they had been humbled. As I turned to leave, Rachel's voice stopped me. Barely a whisper. "Olivia, thank you." I didn't look back. I only said, "Don't thank me. Prove me right." When the final curtain fell and applause thundered through the Orpheum, I stood at the back of the theater for a moment, just listening. The clapping hands, the cheers, the standing ovation. It wasn't just for the performers. It was for the theater itself. For the revival of a place people thought had seen its best days. And it was mine. As guests began to spill into the lobby, I found a quiet corner by the staircase, where the golden banister curved in a graceful arc. For the first time that night, I let myself exhale. Not the poised, measured breaths I had carried like armor, but a real, heavy sigh, the kind that comes only when you finally understand how far you've come. Rachel and the others slipped past me as they left. Their eyes caught mine for just a second, each one offering a small nod, a quiet acknowledgement. No arrogance, no laughter. Just humility. For the first time, I didn't feel the sting of their presence. I felt release. Later, when the theater emptied and silence settled like a blanket, I walked across the stage alone. The spotlights above hummed faintly, illuminating dust motes that danced in the air. I let my fingertips brush the velvet curtain. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from my grandmother, Ruth. She was too frail now to attend in person, but her words appeared clear on the screen. "Proud of you, Liv. You showed up. You always did." Tears pricked my eyes. I remembered that night so vividly, the paper bag of cookies, her hand smoothing my hair, her voice telling me not to let them steal the moment. And now here I was, not just showing up, but owning every inch of the stage. I slipped my phone back into my clutch, walked to the center of the stage, and stood under the single white spotlight. I closed my eyes and imagined that 19-year-old girl in the balcony, clutching her cheap ticket, shrinking under cruel laughter. I wanted to reach out to her, to tell her, "It's okay. You'll be more than fine. One day, they'll clap for you. One day, they'll whisper your name with awe. One day, you won't just buy a ticket, you'll buy the show." I opened my eyes, smiling through the tears, and whispered into the empty theater. "They once mocked my ticket, but tonight, I own the entire show." The words echoed through the Orpheum, bouncing off velvet walls and marble floors, a promise sealed, a circle complete. And for the first time in my life, the applause I heard wasn't just from the crowd. It was from within.